Before the skyline of Dubai pierced the desert, before highways glimmered under Arabian sunsets, this land was silence, a horizon of dunes, wind, and endurance. At the dawn of the 20th century, life in the Trucial states, what would later become the United Arab Emirates, revolved around survival. The people here were Bedouin tribes, pearl divers, fishermen, and traders who moved between coast and desert, guided only by the stars and the rhythm of the sea. Their homes were built from palm fronds, their boats, dhows, carved from wood, their lives woven from patience and faith. The Gulf was not rich, but it was strategic. Between the empires of Britain and Persia, the small sheikdoms of Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Sharjah, Ajman, Al Quwain, Fujairah, and Ras Al Khaimah survived through trade and diplomacy. Britain, seeking safe routes to India, signed protection treaties with local rulers, ensuring peace along what became known as the Trucial coast. For decades, the economy floated on pearls. Each summer, fleets of dhows set sail, carrying divers who descended into the Gulf with nothing but faith and a nose clip. Pearls from Dubai and Ras Al Khaimah reached markets in Bombay, Paris, and London. But by the 1930s, Japan's invention of cultured pearls shattered this fragile economy. The Gulf returned to quiet poverty. Yet, in that stillness, something extraordinary was stirring. In the 1950s, foreign geologists began to arrive, searching for oil beneath the dunes. In 1958, oil was discovered in Abu Dhabi, and in 1966, in Dubai, what they found was not just black gold, it was destiny. Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan, ruler of Abu Dhabi, and Sheikh Rashid bin Saeed Al Maktoum of Dubai, both saw beyond oil. They dreamed of unity and of turning their humble desert into a home for the future. Sheikh Rashid began building roads even before oil revenue arrived. With the help of loans from Kuwait and Qatar, he built the Dubai Creek dredging project in 1959, transforming a narrow waterway into a deep port that would later fuel the city's rise as a global trading hub. Trade before oil, he would say. That is our true treasure. Meanwhile, Sheikh Zayed poured his oil revenues into education, housing, and healthcare. He built schools in villages where there had been none for centuries. Roads stretched through dunes, connecting scattered tribes into communities. By the late 1960s, these two leaders, one pragmatic, one visionary, began shaping something larger than cities, a federation. When Britain announced its withdrawal from the Gulf in 1968, Zayed and Rashid acted swiftly. They invited their fellow rulers to unite. On December 2, 1971, in a modest building in Dubai, the United Arab Emirates was born. There were no skyscrapers, no airports, no motorways, only a belief that unity could build what wealth could not. A flag rose over the sand, and with it a dream began, to build not just roads or cities, but a civilization that would bridge the ancient and the modern, the desert and the world. That dream would soon become visible in glass, steel, and light. On December 2, 1971, a new flag rose above the desert. Red, green, white, and black, the colors of Arab unity. It was more than a symbol. It was a declaration. We will build our own destiny. The United Arab Emirates was born quietly, in a modest building in Dubai's Jumeirah district. There were no grand parades, no marble palaces, only 7 rulers gathered in hope. The world saw a small federation with no experience, little infrastructure, and barely any trained engineers or doctors. But within those men lived something far greater than resources: vision. At the heart of this vision stood 2 leaders: Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan, the unifier, and Sheikh Rashid bin Saeed Al Maktoum, the builder. Together, they would transform a barren landscape into a blueprint for modern civilization. In the early years of the federation, the UAE's challenges were enormous. Only a handful of paved roads connected Abu Dhabi to Dubai. Electricity was scarce, and water came from wells or desalination plants powered by oil. Entire regions had no schools or hospitals. But Sheikh Zayed's philosophy was simple. A nation without education is like a desert without rain. He used the first flow of oil wealth to construct the foundations of a modern society. Not just roads and buildings, but institutions. Schools, hospitals, and housing projects appeared across the Emirates. Within 5 years, literacy soared, and new universities were built in Abu Dhabi and Al Ain. Meanwhile, Sheikh Rashid turned his eyes toward the sea. He believed that trade, not oil, would secure Dubai's future. In 1972, he launched the construction of Port Rashid, the first modern deepwater port in the Gulf. Built by dredging sand and rock, it could handle giant cargo ships that once bypassed the small emirate. But he wasn't done. In 1979, he opened the Jebel Ali port, the largest man-made harbor in the world. At the time, critics called it madness, building a massive port in the middle of nowhere. Today, Jebel Ali is one of the busiest ports on Earth, proof that vision often looks like insanity at first. The 1970s became a decade of transformation. Oil money flowed, but instead of being hoarded, it was invested. The Abu Dhabi Fund for Development, founded in 1971, financed not only domestic infrastructure but also humanitarian projects abroad, hospitals, roads, and schools in dozens of countries. Across the Emirates, construction cranes became a new kind of palm tree, rising everywhere. Desert tracks turned into highways, fishing villages turned into cities. The first airports opened in Abu Dhabi, Dubai, and Sharjah, welcoming flights from London and Bombay. The UAE also began building bridges with the world. Foreign engineers from Japan, Britain, and France arrived to design roads, refineries, and power plants. But the vision always remained Emirati, shaped by the belief that progress must serve the people. Sheikh Zayed once told an engineer who proposed an expensive marble palace, "Build hospitals before palaces. The people are the nation." By the end of the 1970s, the transformation was visible from the sky. Where once there had been dunes, there were roads, schools, airports, and mosques. Where once there had been fishing boats, there were tankers, cranes, and towers. The desert was no longer empty. It was alive. And yet, this was only the beginning. Because as the 1980s approached, Dubai's ruler was already dreaming of something unimaginable. A city that would rise higher than any in the Middle East. A desert that would glow brighter than any metropolis on Earth. The world was about to meet Dubai. The miracle of the desert. 2000. By the early 1980s, the sands of the Gulf were shifting, not by the wind, but by ambition. The United Arab Emirates had found its footing as a young nation, but one city was beginning to pull ahead: Dubai. And at the center of it stood a man with a vision larger than the horizon itself, Sheikh Rashid bin Saeed Al Maktoum. He believed that the real wealth of Dubai would not come from oil, but from imagination. Oil will run out one day, he said, but the people's ambition will not. Dubai had modest oil reserves compared to Abu Dhabi, yet Sheikh Rashid saw opportunity where others saw limits. If the desert could yield roads and ports, why not an empire of trade, tourism, and innovation? In the 1980s, Dubai was still a small coastal city with a few glass towers rising above the sand. But its leaders thought in decades, not years. They planned highways before there were cars to fill them, and airports before there were planes to land. The Dubai World Trade Center, opened in 1979, became the symbol of this new era, a 39-story tower standing alone in the desert, surrounded by sand dunes. To many, it looked absurd. To Sheikh Rashid, it was a promise that one day the world would come to Dubai. The 1980s were a decade of foundations. The Dubai International Airport expanded, welcoming its first long-haul jets. The Dubai dry docks opened, making the city a maritime hub between Asia and Europe. Free trade zones attracted international businesses with zero taxes and total ownership rights, an idea that would later redefine the global economy. But in 1990, the nation mourned. Sheikh Rashid passed away. His son, Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, inherited not only his father's position but his dream, and he was determined to make it real. Sheikh Mohammed saw Dubai not as a Gulf city, but as a global crossroads, the bridge between East and West. He expanded the airport again, launched Emirates Airlines in 1985, and transformed it into one of the world's top carriers within a decade. While oil economies struggled with volatility, Dubai invested in connectivity. Skyscrapers rose where camels once walked. The Emirates Towers, completed in 1999, defined a new skyline, glass and steel shaped like sails, reflecting both tradition and progress. Below, 6-lane highways cut across the desert, linking Jebel Ali port to the new financial districts. Trade boomed. Tourism followed. By the late 1990s, Dubai had become the business capital of the Middle East, a place where East met West under the same sun. But Sheikh Mohammed's ambitions were far from satisfied. He dreamed of transforming Dubai from a city of commerce into a city of wonder. He spoke of islands shaped like palms, of towers that touched the sky, of malls the size of neighborhoods. Many thought these were fantasies, mirages in the heat. But for the Emirates, the impossible was merely the beginning of the blueprint. By the year 2000, construction cranes filled the skyline. Plans were underway for the Palm Jumeirah, Burj Al Arab, and Burj Khalifa, projects so bold they would soon redefine what the world believed was possible in architecture and engineering. The world began to take notice. Dubai was no longer a name on a map. It was a phenomenon, a place where vision, money, and willpower had merged to create a living miracle. As the century turned, the desert was no longer empty. It was alive with light, speed, and motion, and the world was watching. As the new millennium dawned, the desert of Dubai no longer looked like sand. It shimmered like glass. The city had entered a new chapter, one that would make it a symbol of human ambition. The age of skyscrapers. Under the leadership of Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, Dubai began building not just for its people, but for the world's imagination. In the span of a single decade, it would achieve what most nations had not in a century, creating a skyline that touched the heavens and an economy that redefined possibility. The world wanted to know, how can a desert build a city like this? The answer lay in a single philosophy. Build first. The world will come. The Palm Islands. A dream in the sea. The first step in this bold vision began not on land, but in water. In 2001, construction started on the Palm Jumeirah, an island shaped like a palm tree, visible from space. Engineers dredged over 100 million cubic meters of sand from the Gulf, sculpting beaches, fronds, and breakwaters. It was more than an engineering marvel. It was a statement. The world saw a nation that could reshape geography itself. Soon, villas, hotels, and resorts lined the Palm's fronds, and international celebrities called it home. By 2006, the Palm Jumeirah was the talk of the world, the modern equivalent of the pyramids. But Dubai wasn't done. Next came the World Islands, a cluster of 300 man-made islands forming the shape of Earth's continents. Ambitious, risky, and visionary. Exactly what defined the Emirates. Burj Al Arab, the icon rises. While the islands took shape offshore, another symbol was rising on shore. In 1999, the Burj Al Arab opened, a hotel built to look like a billowing sail. Constructed on its own artificial island, it became the most luxurious hotel in the world. Its helipad hosted tennis matches and car stunts. Its interiors dripped with gold, not as vanity but as identity. It said to the world, Dubai is not following the future, it is creating it. Burj Khalifa. Reaching the sky. Then came the project that would define an era, the Burj Khalifa. Launched in 2004, it was designed not just to be tall, but to be a monument to perseverance. Rising 828 meters, the Burj Khalifa required 330,000 cubic meters of concrete and 31,000 tons of steel. Workers from over 100 countries labored day and night under the desert sun. When it opened in 2010, it was, and remains, the tallest building on Earth. From the top, one could see not dunes, but destiny, a city built by dreamers who refused to see limits. The global city. Throughout the 2000s, Dubai reinvented itself as a global hub. The Dubai International Financial Center, DIFC, became the Wall Street of the Middle East. Emirates Airlines expanded to connect 6 continents. The city hosted international festivals, air shows, and world conferences. Tourism exploded. By 2008, Dubai welcomed more visitors per year than New York City. The desert had become a global stage. But the decade wasn't without challenges. The 2008 financial crisis hit hard. Projects stalled and cranes froze mid-air. The world questioned whether Dubai's dream had gone too far. Yet, just as it had always done, the city adapted. Within 2 years, construction resumed, debts were restructured, and the skyline once again buzzed with cranes. Dubai's vision was never about perfection. It was about persistence. By 2010, the message was clear. The impossible had become reality. And as the fireworks exploded over the Burj Khalifa's opening night, the reflection of the flames in the tower's glass carried a message across the world. That somewhere in the desert, a city had risen that refused to obey gravity. The fireworks that crowned the opening of the Burj Khalifa in 2010 did more than light up the desert sky. They marked the dawn of a new chapter. Dubai had built its towers, its islands, and its name. Now the challenge was not to build higher, but smarter. After decades of constructing a skyline from sand and steel, the United Arab Emirates set its sights on something far more ambitious: to become the world's model of futuristic living. A smart, green, and digital civilization rising from the dunes. The global financial crisis had tested Dubai's resilience. But as always, the city turned adversity into innovation. Under Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum's leadership, Dubai doubled down on diversification. Oil now accounted for less than 5% of the GDP. The real wealth was in logistics, technology, and creativity. In 2013, Dubai announced its Smart City Initiative, an urban revolution integrating technology into every aspect of daily life. The goal, to make Dubai the happiest and most connected city on earth. Sensors were embedded in roads and buildings. Public Wi-Fi blanketed the entire city. Government services went fully digital, from ID cards to business permits, eliminating paperwork in a land once defined by sand. Artificial intelligence began guiding traffic, monitoring air quality, and optimizing energy use. The same desert that once challenged survival was now powering innovation. The Emirates also turned its attention to the planet itself. Recognizing the climate challenges of its geography, the UAE became a pioneer in sustainable architecture. Projects like Masdar City, launched in Abu Dhabi, aim to be the world's first carbon-neutral city. Buildings used solar panels, recycled materials, and natural wind corridors, an echo of the traditional wind towers, Barjeel, that once cooled Emirati homes. In Dubai, the sustainable city, a neighborhood powered entirely by renewable energy, became a global model for eco-urbanism. Homes used smart grids to balance consumption, while electric vehicles replaced gas engines on its quiet streets. Even the skyscrapers evolved. New towers such as the Museum of the Future, opened in 2022, combined robotic design and sustainable materials. Shaped like an eye gazing toward the horizon, it became a literal symbol of the UAE's promise. The future is what we build today. By the late 2010s, Dubai had transformed itself into a digital metropolis. Robots greeted visitors at airports. Autonomous taxis roamed test routes. And in 2016, the UAE appointed the world's first Minister of Artificial Intelligence. The government launched the Dubai Future Foundation, dedicated to experimenting with ideas that once belonged to science fiction. 3D printed homes, flying taxis, blockchain governance, and Mars colonization plans led by the Mohammed bin Rashid Space Center. While many nations debated the future, Dubai was building it in real time. In 2021, after a year's delay due to the pandemic, Dubai hosted Expo 2020, a world fair dedicated to innovation, sustainability, and connection. It welcomed over 24 million visitors, making it the largest event ever held in the Arab world. Pavilions powered by solar energy and cooled by AI demonstrated what a smart city could become. From a fishing village to a global showcase of technology, Dubai had completed one of the most extraordinary transformations in human history. Today, the UAE stands not just as a country, but as an idea, that with courage, technology, and faith, humanity can build paradise even in the harshest of landscapes. Dubai's skyline still grows, but its newest towers are made of data, sustainability, and imagination. In the heat of the desert, a new kind of oasis has emerged, not one of water, but of innovation. And like the dunes that shift with every wind, the city continues to move forward. A living proof that in the Emirates, impossible is just a starting point. Once this land was a sea of silence, only wind, sand, and stars. Today, it hums with the heartbeat of a modern world. From the tents of Bedouin tribes to towers that touch the sky, from wooden dhows to rockets bound for Mars, the United Arab Emirates has proven that vision is the most powerful resource of all. What was once a mirage became a map. What was once a dream became a skyline. And what began as sand has become the future itself. The desert did not change, humanity did. Because here in the heart of Arabia, the impossible was not imagined, it was built.